Welcome, everyone, to the PW Fan Podcast, the ultimate pro wrestling podcast created by a few fans for fans. This is episode 159. I am your host, collector, barber, musician, and most importantly, a professional wrestling podcaster, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Booker Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and footballer, Jeremy.
All right, we have a lot to discuss today. Before we get into it and I pass it over to Andy, I just want to say at the top of the show, if you're a new listener from TikTok, you can find us on TikTok at the PW Fan for however long TikTok lasts. If not, once that ends, if it does, knock on wood, we'll move over to Instagram full time and keep doing the same thing, which I'm sure a lot of other people will. But anyway, let me get to my point here.
Also,
real
quick on TikTok. Can we just say that we're never going to listen to Coachman?
Okay, no.
We don't believe the coach. We were just saying what he said and talking about it.
You guys are blowing my spot. This is literally what I was saying.
Yeah, Tim brought it up.
I was just going to say at the top of the show, we got a lot of feedback on a clip that did pretty well on TikTok about the coach.
Very well. It's our best clip.
Yeah, and him saying that Bianca Belair or us saying that according to Coachman, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill get along. Now, obviously, no one from anywhere reached out to us, but we just want to say, based off feedback and then watching the clip back and thinking about it, I think the clip was cut a little rough because we didn't finish as we say. We were like, "Hey, well, if the coach is saying it, it's probably not real," but.
Everyone's like, imagine believing the coach. I'm like, we don't. We were just saying there's a rumor out there, and this is what it is.
You know, we got to talking. I said something, but we're not trying to cause any beef. If there's no beef between the two, there's no beef. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up at the top. If you want to follow stuff like that, go to TikTok, Instagram, and X, which we never use. And follow at the PW Fan. It's just too bad. It's just too much drama.
Yeah,
over there, man.
that's bad.
I don't
want to be real. It's really just TikTok we use.
Yeah,
I mean, mostly.
But
I'll post stories on
Instagram. For t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan and YouTube. You know, I got to say TikTok and YouTube. Most importantly, that's youtube.com/the PW Fan Pod. Please subscribe. We get we see people viewing and stuff, but they haven't hit that subscribe button. When you do that, it really helps us out. Now, Andy, I'm going to send it over to you so we can talk about today's episode.
All right. On episode 159, we're going to be talking about the Continental Classic. We're going to be talking about the final Rampage. WWE this week was not very exciting. I think they're getting ready for the Netflix stuff. And then, of course, we're going to be ending the show with AEW Worlds and pay-per-view, which was another good pay-per-view by AEW. So, that being said, let's get into it. Starting with Dynamite this week. Lots of Continental Classic matches, starting with Will Ospreay defeating Brody King. Continental Classic Gold League match. We had Ricochet, which I can't wait to talk about. Ricochet versus Darby Allin, Continental Classic Gold League. Winner, it was a draw, I believe. If it's a draw, it's usually a time limit thing. Yeah, it was a time limit draw, I remember.
Also in that, what was it? What's the name of it? Ballroom?
This was also in the Hammerstein Ballroom, like Collision was last week.
Yes. This is what GCW got all bent out of shape about.
And this was the Christmas episode. It was on Christmas.
Yeah, because they booked the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was a whole thing where like Effie was on his podcast and was like, why would you announce it the same like week that we did, and then you're doing it few weeks or whatever before us. But anyway, yeah. I guess this is what they were angry about. But I didn't realize it was this soon.
Yeah, they think they started on Collision. They did Rampage there this week. They did Dynamite. There was no Collision this week. There was Collision last week, because the pay-per-view was on a Saturday. So, continue on. Claudio Castagnoli versus Commander, Continental Classic Gold League. Winner was Commander, which I didn't see coming. Death Riders would attack afterwards, and then Jay White, Adam Page, and Orange Cassidy would come out, and they'd all hit their finishers on Mox, one after another. I mean, this whole entire show was just like matches. Okada versus Shelton Benjamin, Continental Classic Blue League. Winner was Okada. And then Kyle Fletcher versus Daniel Garcia, Continental Classic Blue League. Winner Kyle Fletcher. So this show, we got our finalists out of it, which was Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Okada, and Kyle Fletcher. All 4 would be moving on to the pay-per-view. Quickly, Rampage. It was the final Rampage until Tony Khan ever feels like bringing it back. And the way they did it...
Can I just say before you go into it, I wish he wouldn't have announced that it was ending. Like Rampage
they just did it the way that they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way they did it, I mean, in old WCW fashion, which was a failure. I hate when they do it. The show ended in a big brawl in the ring where it started off making sense of who's fighting. Then it was just like everyone's just fighting each other. We're just going off the air with a big brawl of like a million people.
Yeah.
Moxley ended up going to the production truck, basically saying that he's taking Rampage with him, and he took like a bat or something to like the controls, and all the lights also turned off in the arena, and it went black. And
because like imagine like you didn't know that it was ending, and then he did that, and then Tony Khan's like, well,
I mean, I think it would have been better.
Yeah,
I just watched this great clip. I wish we had somebody who was into video editing so they could do like a little like a video over me saying this, but I just watched this great clip of it was somebody else reviewing it, actually, a different podcast, and they were talking about that segment where Undertaker took over Josh Matthews' body, like his spirit, and he's talking to Randy Orton and Bob Orton behind the scenes, and he's like, "Hey, Randy," and like, but like Josh is like talking, dude. It's terrible. I was like, "Oh my god!" I do remember
one of the worst
but,
Undertaker segments.
Yeah, it was funny. It was genuinely a good one. We'll have to maybe like link that or something. That's a good one.
Is that related to what we're talking about?
Well, when you said all the lights went off, I immediately think.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
I thought you were gonna like. Okay. Yeah.
No, there's no real follow up, but like that's just one of those things I saw today that I was like, I just want to add that in there because it's
that's funny
stuff.
So yeah, end of Rampage apparently.
So what else do you got?
Last Rampage until otherwise noted, which is for the best. Let's be honest.
Definitely,
it's for the best.
That 1 hour.
Now, are they getting another show?
I mean, I hope not. Just keep it at 2.
Didn't you say AEW was getting another show?
It wasn't like Fox was talking about one.
Shockwave?
Fox, yeah, Fox was thinking about that.
Shopping around a new show called Shockwave, and it's rumored that Fox was interested in acquiring it for.
Who's reporting that?
Wrestling Inc. I don't Wrestling Inc. Wrestle Talk. No, Wrestle Headlines. I mean, there's a bunch of.
Blame it on them.
Yahoo.
We're not
Yahoo.
Source, okay.
Yahoo.com.
I'm not a fucking journalist. All right, we're having fun. Everybody, take it easy.
We're just saying what we hear and talking about it if it is true. All right. If it's not
podcast.
True. Yeah, we never said we were journalists. We don't.
I am not Dave Meltzer.
Yeah. We're not ever saying that we are. Okay. Raw this week.
For legal
So Raw this past week is the second to last Raw before Netflix. So tomorrow night is Monday the 30th, and that's the last Raw until the Netflix Raw. I
believe Raw on January 6th.
January 6th. I believe we're getting Punk and Seth again face to face and a couple other things.
Yeah.
It's still, I think, unknown. Me and Jeremy were talking about it before the pod that whether the show's going to be 3 hours or not. You got to think with Netflix, there's no time slot. They can end the show pretty much whenever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be 2.5 hours if they want it to be.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. There's no. Imagine like when they have The Rock on, because he takes forever in his segments because he loves to do that, and he'll just be like
so much.
It'll be like a 30
Well, they don't have to
cut
time now. There's no need to cut time for matches and things.
I know, but like if he's like the last segment, he'll be like cutting a promo for 30 minutes in the ring. It's like
It's just
Yeah,
sweating
just
the
go
whole
over
time
it.
profusely.
Sweating,
Just not even doing anything. Just dripping. Makes no sense.
But also, this coming Friday is the first SmackDown going forward that's going to be 3 hours on USA.
Yeah, since they only got that
SmackDown from now on will be 3 hours long. And then Raw,
it's a lot of wrestling.
We'll find out. Yeah. So we gained an hour with SmackDown, lost an hour with Rampage.
Yeah, and as Andy said before we started, he was like, "I'll take that."
Yeah, I'll take it. Definitely. Okay, so Raw this week, this past week, Drew McIntyre would open up the show, explaining why he targeted Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso, blaming them for isolating him. Sami would end up coming out, interrupting him to say that everyone was struggling and not everyone blames someone else for their issues, unlike Drew McIntyre. And then he would challenge Drew to a match later that night. Drew would called out that Sami Zayn is hurt right now and should not be having a match on Monday. But they started brawling anyway, and then Jey Uso would return to help out Sami and take out Drew. So Drew McIntyre this year has been called the best person on the mic. And this was, again, one of his best promos.
It was very good. I think he definitely deserved that award, actually. Even with Punk being back.
Let me explain to you.
This is a very good promo.
All the Scottish listeners just dropped off.
Our one Scottish listener.
He's like, all right, that's a wrap.
I almost
Let me
forget that
explain
this is
something to you, boyo.
God, they're like, anyway, these fucking Americans.
And then Andy's going to do the beans on toast part.
Oh,
Nope.
Anybody
I'm
see
gonna
the
hold
one
it back.
of the? Anybody see the one of the guy? I think I said this to Jeremy, where the British kids like trying to make fun of Americans, being like,
No, you sent it to me,
Yeah.
though, but yeah.
"Let me get a
Sounds
cheeseburger
like
the
it.
sausage you had, then fry it," and then some other dude just clapped back way too
It's a
hard.
rat. It's like a rat. Big teeth.
Dude, that's why you don't play, dude. That internet, they'll destroy you with internet.
So sometimes I almost forget this tournament is. Okay.
That's
I'm just gonna bleep that out.
Clip that part. God.
I'm going to bleep that out.
You should. It'll sound funny.
Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament continues. Io Sky defeating Alba Fire and Natalia. Do you ever forget that this tournament's even happening?
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even realize that was happening.
Yeah, no. And you all froze, so you're probably answering. Okay, and you're back. What was your answer? So I have something to go off of?
I said, yeah, I forgot it was happening too.
Yeah, my internet fucking sucks. Yeah, so Io Sky moves forward. God damn it.
Andy!
Dude, I swear, right before the show, I turned that shit off.
Why?
Keep it professional.
I know, and he's using the Lord's name in vain. What's going on?
Help me.
Help.
Help me. You smell like a demon. Okay, me and Tim were going down that rabbit hole last night.
Oh my god.
I smell
Canyon,
every
please
sin.
sponsor us. Someone to tag us.
We came up with our
Someone
own
tag
Me
us.
Canyon idea, actually.
Yeah, we came up with a good one. We'll have to tell you off air, though.
Okay. Oh no.
We want to pitch it to him.
What was it on? What was it about?
I can't remember now.
He just said off air and on right now.
Jeremy's concerned.
I just know it was something.
Yeah.
They walk in, and I don't remember what it was.
All right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there.
But dude, I was like really like into it. I was like, this is a great idea.
I can see that energy.
Whatever it was.
Andy's got that Dahmer energy right now.
Speaking of Dahmer energy, Dexter Loomis would defeat The Miz The Final Testament would attack afterwards, in which this would make the Wyatt Six come out and attack back, getting the upper hand in the end. And then the main event was Drew McIntyre defeating Sami Zayn. Jey Uso would come out, save Sami Zayn from a beatdown afterwards, and then Sami Zayn. And then the Bloodline would end up coming out to take out Jey and Sami as well. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some kind of team up Drew McIntyre and the Bloodline with Sami, Jey. Well, you can't have Jimmy because Jimmy's hurt.
Do you think? Well, I mean, on the January 6th Raw for Netflix, they're gonna I have The Rock has to show up there.
Has to,
right?
I mean, you think
so.
It's gonna be a big show?
It's like a pay-per-view, basically.
Right.
Why do I keep seeing people are like, dude, Rock's gonna come out number 31?
Because there's a leak. There's a leaked thing.
Leaked list. Yeah. They're like, he's gonna come out number 31 and win it because he
Not
is the
according
boss.
to us.
Not according to us.
We are not saying that part.
Everybody back off.
Now this is everywhere. Is that people are saying that it could be Cody versus Cena at Mania? That's a possibility.
What? And then Rock and Roman?
Well, I don't know. And well, then the other rumor is possibly just things are being talked about. Punk versus Roman could happen. I think this is all if the Rock schedule doesn't work out.
Works. Yeah.
And then you read the rumor about Cena maybe breaking the record on his last run.
It's so weird to be like, yeah, I want him to do this. I want him to win the Rumble. I want him to win the title and all that stuff.
Dude, this has to be the year of Cena, man. I want him to verse Punk one more time.
Yeah. I want to hear a John Boy from Punk. And it's just weird. Because
we want the fine speech Punk. Cena. Cena.
Because for the past 10 years, I've always hated Cena. I'm so tired of him.
Yeah, but now we want it all.
Yeah.
Also, I texted you guys. How'd you feel about Jeff Hardy saying he would like his last WWE opponent to be CM Punk? You say no?
I don't think he needs another match.
I want to see my creatures of the night. Classic. Was that TNA or WWE where he did that? That was TNA.
Just TNA, yeah.
Yeah, the creatures of the Nat. The Nat.
Man, I'm still trying to think of that meat canyon we came up with.
And that's another another few loss of the southern of the North Carolina listeners.
Yeah.
Dang.
Creatures.
We don't have any of those.
Yeah.
Watch, it's just gonna dawn on me, and I'm just gonna spit it out once it comes.
That's
great. What are you looking for?
I'm thinking about that meat canyon that we came up with.
It's never gonna come back. I'm pretty sure we lost it.
It might be for the best as how it sounded to what Andy started saying.
It's not any worse than a
we had smoked. We had smoked. We were coming up with fun ideas.
Fun ideas.
Fun ideas
about.
Andy, can you just clarify this is not real?
It's not real. It was. I was gonna pitch it to Meat Canyon and be like, "Dude, this is a good idea." I'm like, picture this. They walk in the house.
Riddle me this.
And spinning.
Honestly,
spinning
Jeremy,
on a wheel.
Jeremy, you might have to cut a lot.
What is happening right now?
Went down a dark path.
All right.
Put Dark Andy away, and we need to host Andy to come back.
Putting him in my pocket. All right.
Yeah.
Smackdown.
Jeremy, please someone mark that clip. God damn
it. All right, I'm smart.
Or you could just bleep it and make it funnier. It's funnier when it's bleeped.
I will bleep it because that was crazy.
You might. So every time that we're doing this, we're making more work for Jeremy. All right. So where are we going?
All right. SmackDown. Chelsea Green, United States Championship celebration. She wanted to basically end up thanking herself. It made it seem like it was going to be Piper Niven, but she thanked herself instead for always being there for herself. Michin would end up coming out and using a kendo stick. So it looks like she is still after that title. They face each other in the finals. Sami Zayn popped over too. SmackDown, to get involved with the Bloodline. Carmelo Hayes would interrupt a conversation with him and Nick Aldis. This would lead to a match with Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, which would end in no contest because Carmelo would walk out of the ring and walk up the ramp. Braun Strowman would come out and attack Carmelo Hayes. Then the Bloodline would come out and start attacking Sami Zayn. Braun Strowman would go in and save Sami from the Bloodline. And then we had a face-to-face with Jacob Fatu, which was super interesting with Braun and Jacob. The crowd was into it.
Yeah, they were really into
I was kind of into it too, actually. And then the Bloodline would all attack him. I don't know why Tim's laughing right now. What? Did he remember?
No, I'm just still thinking.
Are you saying
how fucking insane that was?
It was not insane.
Andy, you were just like,
dude.
God's Jeremy, I promised you in context. It's not as bad. We just can't remember what the first part
I
was.
just marked that clip too because I gotta bleep what I just said.
Now you got me thinking. See, I got back on track. Now you got me thinking about it again.
No, Dark Andy needs to go back.
Yeah,
on a wheel.
Well, there was one on a pinwheel. All right, hang on.
Yeah.
We're still recording. Come on.
Woo. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Wasn't
1.
weird. Yeah. Anyway, so the Bloodline would beat down Braun Strowman, and then our main event, which was not a match, we had Nick Aldis and Kevin Owens in the ring. Nick Aldis had given Kevin an ultimatum to give up the Winged Eagle belt and return it back after stealing it at Saturday night's main event. Carmelo Hayes would, or not Carmelo Hayes, Cody Rhodes would end up showing up after, I guess, being injured at Saturday night's main event. He would propose a ladder match to settle it once and for all, where the refs couldn't screw over Kevin and there'd be no, excuses. So that match is made official. It's going to be a ladder match. I think both titles are going to be hanging up in the air, the Winged Eagle and Cody's title. And Cody or KO would end up ending the show by attacking and stomping on Cody Rhodes' injured neck. Good stuff. I'm just waiting for Homelander
Good
Cody,
stuff.
but
Can't
maybe
wait.
one day we'll.
I saw a TikTok about heel Cody on the Indies, and I was like, I kind of want this Cody back.
I saw today. I never knew it happened. Bryan Danielson, Seth Rollins, and Kenny Omega in a triple threat
On
in
Ring of
ROH.
Honor. Wait, that's what you sent to us.
2008, yeah. Or Tyler Black.
Yeah.
It's like an 18-minute match. It's all on YouTube. But let's get into World's End. Another good pay-per-view by AEW. Can't deny it. Opening match was strong, maybe too strong in Tim's
Too
mind.
strong. But where would they
Yeah,
put this
I
match
it was
then?
like, I thought it burnt everybody out the rest of the show because it was too good. I know.
Where
I know that's like
Maybe
a crazy
second.
complaint, but I think it should have come on later.
But they couldn't
Well, they
because
they
they
need
had to
time.
have the final match later.
Yeah,
But
I
they
guess
could-
that is how that
You
works.
could have opened up with Okada and Ricochet if this one was going to be like this, but
Yeah.
so Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. Winner moves on to the finals. Winner was Will Ospreay. Will would end up bleeding early, maybe bleeding too much, maybe cut too much. Face was
Definitely
covered.
did.
Definitely did.
And leaking.
Not as long as their first match at the last pay-per-view. Still a very good match. Lots of false finishes. Me and Tim
Yeah.
were talking about how we like this version of Kyle Fletcher and how he would fit in like WWE pretty well, I feel like.
Oh yeah. This
Yeah,
one.
I
This is so
think
much better because he's
Yeah,
like
it
actual his
looks-
own character.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just like Will Ospreay mini.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good way to start off the show though. Then we had the next semifinals match, Ricochet versus Okada. Okay, there's a lot to get into with the ending, but the match overall was really good, as expected with these two guys. Okada's great as always. Ricochet is Ricochet. Winner moves on to the finals. Winner was Okada. So later in the night, particularly the second to last match, we're going to get Will Ospreay versus Okada. Now, afterwards, Swerve Strickland would come out. And they've been beefing. Him and Ricochet have been beefing backstage, using each other's first names and whatnot.
And what?
And Swerve and
you sound like the unforgivable guy. They've been backstage, using each other's first names and whatnot.
some waffle fries.
And we're not going to talk about Unforgivable. You could look that up on your own. Moving.
I almost went to a rant about it. So in the end of this segment, though, Swerve had a bunch of toilet paper handed out to the audience, and they just fucking threw toilet paper at Ricochet instead of streamers.
It was perfect because it landed right on him.
Crazy segment. I'm not.
You can look at it in two ways. You can look at it like it's a burial. Yeah, you can look at it like it's a burial. I look at it like this dude's about to fucking be one of the biggest heels.
Yeah.
In
that's
AEW.
And that's the other thing. There's no way that it's a shoot like punishment thing because no one's gonna stand there and take all that toilet paper. You would have just rolled out and been like, "I'm out." So
Swerve didn't bring up the interview thing, saying that
I thought it was a good segment.
AEW,
Yeah, we mentioned that too. Like way before.
He mentioned how Ricochet took credit for AEW, basically.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it was just like perfect imagery, I think, too, of like the toilet paper, like I don't know, got wrapped around him as well, and so it was just covered in him. But I think this is like the moment he like snaps.
I mean, we've been saying it since we even started this pod. Like Ricochet needs to go heel. Ricochet needs to go heel, and hopefully,
this should be it.
So, see where it goes from there in the coming weeks. Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa Women's World Championship Tijuana Street Fight. There was a tombstone pile driver spot through a table, which I just did not like.
Oh yeah,
it was a little scary.
Oh, that spot.
But overall, I think the match was good. Overall, actually, all the women's matches on this pay-per-view were good. And the Mercedes Moné one later we'll talk about. That was really good as well.
Thunder Rosa always does well in these types of matches, I think. Like, this is like her... This is how
Britt
she
Baker
made
had
a
a
name
very
for
good
herself.
one. Yeah, her and Britt Baker had a good one when she won the championship.
Yeah.
But Mariah May would end up retaining. There was a tack spot, which Tim was like, how did Thunder Rosa not really react to getting slammed in the tacks? We went back and watched it twice.
She took that move and just was like, all right, cover.
Usually you're like shaking.
Yeah, she was like, ugh. And just like kind of like shrugged it off almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I always thought might even hurt more than the actual spot itself? Imagine, like, okay, you just got slammed onto the tacks, right? But that happens real quick. So it's like, damn, all the pain hits you at once. Then imagine, like, going to get up or roll over, and then one just, like, pierces you right in the side.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I
or
feel
like
like that
hand.
would hurt, like, yeah, like, I feel like that would, like, hurt even more than just, like, the initial... like all of them at once,
Yeah.
So after that, we had the Dynamite Diamond Ring match, MJF versus Adam Cole. Mike Bennett and Matt Taven are on the outside of the ring, guarding the Dynamite ring so that MJF can't use it. MJF looking tan as fuck compared to Adam Cole. Jesus.
Does he like the when he goes and gets these tans? I'm like, sometimes it's way too much.
Yeah,
it's fake tan.
It's gotta
keep
be
it up. You're gonna be canceled. All right, keep it up. Later on, or throughout the match, who ends up bleeding? Does anyone end up bleeding?
Adam Cole, I thought was bleeding.
Was it Adam Cole?
It was on both of them, so I couldn't really tell.
Okay, I feel like it was MJF, but I'm not sure. But MJF pulls an Eddie Guerrero, and pretends to get hit by the stairs.
Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero. The Free Amigos.
It's like if a toddler met Eddie Guerrero.
But the ref thinks that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven did it, so they send them to the back. MJF is able to grab the Dynamite ring. While distracted by McTaven and Mike Bennett. MJF hits a low blow and ends up getting the win over Adam Cole. Afterwards, Roderick Strong would run out after returning from being taken out by MJF at, I believe, the last pay-per-view. Kyle O'Reilly would come out as well, and it seems like Kyle, I guess, is back in the Undisputed Kingdom and out of the conglomeration.
Yeah. So MJF just
6
never
years
lost
now.
his ring.
6 years. Yep, he was the 5-time
only
winner before.
winner.
Yep.
Crazy.
So just continues. I mean, would it really fit with anyone else? I don't know. I don't think a big
I
Dynamite
guess
ring.
at this point he should just always win it. It's almost like a streak.
Well, remember when Cody Rhodes won the ROH title? He turned into a ring,
Yeah.
just like this. I mean, I assume that's where
basically
the
like this. Yeah.
idea came from. After that, we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs for the International Championship. Takeshita looking good as always, but I thought Powerhouse Hobbs looked probably the best in this match, more like a star. Winner in the end was Takeshita, retaining. Then we had Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander TBS Championship. Maybe one of the best matches on the card.
Yeah. I think like Mercedes, I don't know, she maybe like feels more comfortable maybe. I don't know in AEW, but she's been doing
This is
so much
also
better.
the second time they've faced each other.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So maybe they're better with each other. I don't know. Not that the last time was bad, but this was...
It was just really good this time.
Yeah. Then we had Okada versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay's all bandaged up. This is for the Continental Championship. Okada was the champion going into this, but, you know, didn't
This
mean
is the only thing
he
I
had to
don't
make it to the
like.
finals. Is the outcome?
Yes.
So the outcome, after an awesome match, I mean,
Yeah, great match.
it was fantastic. This is like their 10th showing, and I think, or maybe 11th showing now, and Ospreay's only won 2 of them. Okada retained.
Yeah.
So because they said like Okada's won 9 out of however many matches they've had.
Yeah. But it's like you did this whole tournament and everything, and the guy just retains.
Dude, the belt was basically created though right after Okada, like for Okada.
It was. But it's like it was a whole year basically, almost.
Yeah. But yeah, Okada did end up winning, and he continues to be the longest reigning champion in AEW. Afterwards, Christopher Daniels would come out and say that he's no longer an EVP, so he can't give the belt, but this man is. And then we had a returning Kenny Omega, at least for the night, returning. I know he's going to face Gabe Kidd, which we can talk about what Gabe Kidd said. Did you read that quote?
I was going to say first that Kenny Omega looks really good now. Like he looks healthy and everything from...
Yeah.
What did he have again?
Good.
Diverticulitis.
Yeah. So he looks like he's much better, in better shape too, actually, now. But go ahead about...
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Well, so Kenny Omega would come out. He would hand Okada the title and award it to him. I remember reading at some point that when Kenny came back for good, that they were going to try to reignite this rivalry, but in AEW.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like the start of it. If that's
kind of hoping they like don't have a match until All In is in July, because that should be like a big one
in Texas now.
In Texas,
they're not doing it in Wembley. But yeah, Gabe Kidd. So Kenny's first match back into the wrestling world is going to be facing Gabe Kidd in New Japan. And this is what Gabe Kidd had to say. When did he say this? He said this like the other day or a couple days ago. All right, I just want your guys' thoughts on it. He said, I don't give a shit if AEW wants to sign me. What? So I can go and turn up to TV, be Tony's new toy, go on Dynamite, have a couple of matches, and then sit in catering for 23 weeks, doing fuck all, flying to Toledo, Ohio to do what? A show in front of a crowd that have seen 5 hours of wrestling already? I have no interest in that whatsoever. Wrestling to me, I'm a professional, but wrestling means more to me than these guys. And I think it's about time that someone with New Japan stepped up and has some fucking balls. We are getting our pants pulled down and dogged by the rest of the wrestling world because of being professional. So maybe it is time to be a little bit unprofessional. Maybe it's time to talk a bit of shit. And if they have anything to say about it, can come and chat to me. I have no problem pulling Tony Khan into our office and telling him what's what. I have no problem reading him his rights and telling him what a fucking idiot he is. So that's that.
That felt like it was like he made it a story, but also it was very real, like a shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because we've seen people like Ricky Starks and Penta and them just sitting catering for weeks, so it's like that part, has some truth.
Yeah, I mean,
behind it.
there's a lot of parts they said I think were very true, especially the 5-hour wrestling part. Like we went to the Dynamite. We said that multiple times how long it was.
I feel like Tony Khan's not a never say never guy and will squash beef, so I don't see Gabe Kidd ever coming to AEW after those comments. But
Tony Khan is he'll hold on to a grudge forever.
I don't think he's a best for business pal kind of guy that could forget about some things.
Yeah.
Tim, what about you? How'd you feel about?
I mean, it feels personal, but I don't know if it's work or not.
Fightful will have coverage. So is this? I mean, this is happening at New Japan, NJPW, and AEW Wrestle Dynasty. So Tony Khan's involved with Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega.
Well, yeah, because it's the AEW part, yeah.
So that's January 5th. That's Sunday.
It's January 5th?
I believe so.
That, and then we get Raw on Netflix the next day.
Damn.
So Wrestle Dynasty, I think it's mainly though a New Japan pay-per-view.
Oh, Wrestle Dynasty, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we got, there's some good matches. Let's go through them real quick. We don't have to do predictions, but Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd.
Hold on. Do you want to finish the pay-per-view first?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
We only got one more match.
We got one more match. All right, main event.
Yeah.
John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy versus Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White for the World Championship. Majority of the beginning of the match was a team up on Moxley, which was great. All three men were just beating the shit out of him. Once Moxley was kind of taken out, this was after they did. I talked to you guys about it, but the Shield powerbomb through the table on the outside. So once Moxley was taken out, then everyone was kind of fighting amongst themselves for the rest of the match. There was fighting in the stands. It's a fatal 4-way, so of course Death Riders can just get involved in whatever. So they had to fight them off, which included Wheeler, Yuta, and Claudio. Jay White would hit a Blade Runner on Marina Shafir in the middle of the ring to take her out, which fans were kind of happy for.
Yeah.
But mainly because of the involvement with the Death Riders, John Moxley would end up retaining during the match. Christian Cage was watching from the stands with his contract. But after the match was over, it looks like they're about to attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
FTR's music hits. FTR stands at the top of the ramp, and then the Titantron changes to say rated FTR with Edge's or Adam Copeland's star. Adam Copeland's music hits. They come out, all three clear the ring. We have a face-to-face with Moxley and Adam. They would start fighting. Adam hits a quick spear and takes the chair, breaks the support, and puts it in Moxley's mouth and starts tapping him out.
You know, he's done that. Copeland has done that to all
every single members of the Shield. And this is the final member of the Shield he has to face. He faced Rollins when he came back. He faced Roman. So this is the final Shield member he has to face is Moxley. Yeah. When Moxley's on the outside after being pulled out of the ring by Claudio, after some technical mic issues, Adam's mic's working, and he says, what do you say? Like, you're mine, kid. He's like, yeah.
He's like, I can call you kid because
I'm calling you kid because you were growing pubes when I started doing this.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's kind of a weird thing to say, but
so then they yeah. He said, you're all mine. So then a match was made right away for this Dynamite, which is going to be Claudio and I believe Wheeler and John Moxley versus FTR and Adam Copeland. So that'll be the main event, I'm sure, of Dynamite this coming week. So overall, thoughts on the pay-per-view, guys?
I liked it.
It was really
I thought
good.
It was good.
Yeah, I just
Like we
like
say, they always deliver on the pay-per-view.
yeah, I was gonna say like hopefully like Okada and Omega don't just rely on just like it's a big match sort of thing. They have like story that goes with it. And same thing with Copeland and Moxley going forward now.
All right, so let's go through some of these matches with Wrestle Dynasty, which again I didn't know, but it really just looks like a. You know how Forbidden Door is AEW heavy
Yeah,
over New Japan? This is basically Forbidden Door, but it's New Japan heavy, and it's ran by New Japan. All right, let's go through the matches. Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet.
that'll be good.
That'll be good. If I butcher any of these names, I'm sorry. Shota Umino versus Claudio Castagnoli. David Finlay versus Brody King.
That'll be good.
Sure, that'll be good. It will be a IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship match. Then we had.
You got it.
They're saying, but they're also saying this is a Global Heavyweight Championship match. I don't really. Oh, other potential. Okay, so it depends on, I guess, other things happening.
Yeah.
Yota Tsuji versus Jack Perry. Then we have the Never Openweight Championship. Tomohiro Ishii versus Takeshita or Shingo Takagi. So I guess that depends on if Takagi is still champion after facing Takeshita.
Yeah.
On the night before. Oh yeah, because they always do like a night before thing, and then that. Okay. Great Okan versus a mystery partner of his versus Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. This is the first time in years, right? That
Yeah,
they
since
fought
he left.
in New Japan.
Yeah.
Mina
They put that one as the 106 IWGP Tag Team Champion Decider.
Yep. Then we have the NJPW Strong Women's Championship and RPW Undisputed British Women's Championship, because Mercedes is the Strong Women's and Mina Shirakawa is a Undisputed British Women's Champion. So those two, Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa, are going to be facing each other. There's a Lucha Gauntlet match, which is 4 members of New Japan and 4 members of CMLL. And then one of the kickoff matches is ROH Tag Team Champions Sammy Guevara and Dusty Rhodes versus House of Torture, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho versus Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara.
I honestly forgot that Sammy Guevara was still there.
And then we're going to have kickoff match 1, International Women's Cup, Persephone versus Athena versus Willow Nightingale versus Momo Watanabe.
Athena, I feel like, deserves so much more.
Well, Willow feels like gets everything.
And yeah.
Which, by the way, she came out. Was that on Rampage? Don't worry about it. Willow came out. Fuck Rampage. Yeah, so that's it. World's End good pay-per-view. Maybe we'll talk a little bit. I know it's not scheduled for us to watch, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about Wrestle Dynasty and the results of some of the matches. Next week, we'll also be talking about the first 3-hour ever Smackdown.
Yeah, we're gonna be recording during that Netflix Raw.
Let's change that. Let's do it Sunday, because I am going to go over to Tim's house
and watch it
for the Netflix Raw.
That sounds good to me.
Right? That's still the plan, Timothy.
Yeah. Timothy
G. Tim Gilbert. So, Tim, take us out.
No real homework for the week other than, we're going to be celebrating this new era of Raw coming up. So I would say go on Peacock or YouTube and find your favorite episode of Raw. Find some Raw highlights, something over the years that you liked about Raw, because it's going to be a whole new vibe coming up. Really curious to see how it's going to be, what they're going to do, what they're going to be allowed to do now. It's going to be interesting. So, yeah, go watch some old school Raw, and we will catch up with you all next week. Everybody have a great week.